Hello everyone, welcome back to Sukio's Art channel. Yay! Okay, so this is my second video for today. I'm on a roll, making up for the fact that I have not been around for weeks. Once again, apologies. Um, so this is part two of my earlier review. As you see, I've done my little color chart. I've mixed the colors, and I'm going to be doing the demonstration now. Just as a disclaimer for those of you who have not watched my videos before, I do have birds in my room, so if you hear a lot of chirping, like so, those are my birds. So hopefully they won't bother you guys very much. I might also get up on occasion to get some water, just because people need to hydrate. So yeah, the light quality probably won't be as good as my previous video because I'm now filming during the night where I am. Let me try turning on my main light and see if it makes a difference. Hopefully, hopefully that will help. Okay, so earlier today, I did part one of this video, I guess, where I was reviewing the Jane Davenport Colorstick crayons, which are water soluble. Um, I painted these pictures in, which these cardboard papers came with the sticks. This one came with the silky skin set, and this one came with a soul window set. Um, and this is my little color chart, which I did on this glossy paper. And then I did it on this Fabriano paper because I wanted to compare the two. And then at the back, you have these drawings of faces, and I painted them in. They've now dried completely. And earlier in the video, in the first video, I was saying that I didn't like the way they look on this paper. I don't like the way they dry or the way they dried. And that is still the case. You can see that they're a little bit chalky, a little bit streaky on the glossy paper, which I'm not a big fan of. But now that they've dried completely, I think they look better than they did the first time around. It's not so bad, but I personally don't think glossy paper is the best type of paper for these or this type of art supply, or this particular art supply, in fact. So yeah, I'm just going to put that aside. And I'm going to put that there. Actually, I might turn it around to use the color charts, because this color chart is of this set. And then I use the red and yellow and blue from this set just to mix secondaries to see if I could, which I did. And now I'm going to be drawing a landscape, and I'm going to be painting it in using the color sticks. So let me just put that there. Actually, how do I organize this? Okay, so I'll put them here side by side. Here we go. And I'll put these cups of water here. Here we go. And I'm going to try and draw it down here. So I'm just going to put the name on the paper. So this is the Jane Davenport color stick water soluble crayons. Actually, I just want to point out really quickly as well that the way they dried on this paper, I think it's better. But if you notice this brown, I don't know why that happened. It's a bit, there's like this weird texture to it, which is okay. It's not terrible, but I thought that was interesting the way it dried there. Okay, so let's just begin the drawing. So I've chosen this landscape. So let me just, I've got this TV right in front of me, on which it's a second screen for my computer, so I use it to prop the picture on it so that I can see it in a really big size, or yeah, so it's easier for me to draw, basically. I'm just pulling out my sleeves. Okay, time to do this. So that's, I'm drawing a landscape, so that's the vanishing point right there. And now I'm going to do this. Maybe I should use a ruler. Try not to use a ruler. This is very, very rough. And then there's some mountains right here. And there's trees. So this one is actually more like this. This one is more like this as well. So this is a river. These are like the banks, which are full of grass. Like, let me see if I can make this work. So the river comes around, so it goes a little bit like this. And then here goes like this. And then there's a little bit of earth that comes out here. And then there's a bridge here. And then it kind of goes like this. I don't know why I'm not narrating this. And of course, this is the river. So there are some stones here where the water makes some splashes because of the stones. And then there's more down here. Actually, there's maybe a little, I think I'm going to rub that out and bring it a little bit further back. I'm not gonna draw too many details. For me, this landscape picture is more about getting some guidelines onto the paper and then trying to bring it to life with lights and shadows and different hues. I'm not saying I'm going to be successful, but I'm certainly going to try. There's a lot of pink in the picture because then there's a stone bank here. There's a big rock here with green. Actually, this one goes a bit more like that. Hmm. Okay. So, right. There are trees. There's a car here. Should I try and draw the car? Should I be brave and draw the car? I'll draw the car. Let me just. There's a lot of little stones. I don't draw cars often, so my car is probably going to look terrible. Absolutely terrible. Okay, so then there are trees. So I'll draw the shapes. And then there are leaves. So I'll paint that in. There's more leaves here. Or maybe they're flowers. They're all pink. They're very pretty. I think this is from Japan. This is like a scene from Japan. Just a picture that I found online is just a study. I'm not claiming right to anything. So yes, there's some greenery here. There's some mountains here. And then there's sky. Obviously trees, some trees. There's a bit of a rock here. And then there's some greenery. Oh, this is a complicated one. I might not be very successful with this one. We'll find out. Okay. Then there's like a silhouette of a mountain at the back there. And then there's sky. Okay, so I'm just going to go over that with a darker pencil. So this is my trusty Palomino Blackwing. I love these pencils. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Hopefully you can see that. Oh, sorry. Because of the lack of light, they're just not very good. And then the car. Which is definitely the worst part about his picture. Okay. Okay. Now I will rub out the lines and I'll try to paint it in. So it's supposed to be a quick sketch, simplified landscape painting. Hopefully I can make it look good. Just one more thing. There's some more green there. I go over the original lines with a darker graphite pencil because I want to rub out the lines, but I want them to be dark enough that they'll imprint on the paper so that, ooh, shaking this too much, so that when I paint over it, I can see the lines underneath, even though I've rubbed them out, if that makes sense, because they've been imprinted on the paper. Just going to use this brush to brush away the crumbs. I'll just rub off the name for now. I'll do it again. It's a good test to see if the colors rub off anyway, and they do. As you can see, I'm rubbing off the dried colors and they're coming off. Rubbing off the graphite is the most boring and annoying part of this process. Apologize, guys, for those of you who aren't aware. If it's your first time watching my videos, my desk is a little broken, and so when I rub things, it tends to shake a lot. So now the water's just dripping everywhere. So many crumbs. I actually don't have my bin at hand, so I've had to put it in the corner of the table. Oh, somebody's given me a like. Thank you very much. I don't know who you are, but I really do appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, there's only so much I can rub out now. Okay. Just rubbing off the crumbs, guys, to the edge of the table. Because I don't want to throw it on the floor, because then it'll be really a nightmare to clean. Okay, some will just have to remain on the table. I'll clean it later. Okay, so I'm going to start by painting the sky, which has a tinge of pink in my picture, probably because it was, the sun was setting. But it was late in the afternoon, but early enough that the sun had just begun to set. That's what it looks like on the picture. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to try and mix that color together. So using my color chart, I would say I'll use that pink, this blue here, and maybe a little bit of gray. So I've only got one gray. So I'll try and mix those three together and see what happens. Okay. blowing away the crumbs. Crumbs. I forget that the B is silent. So here's the pink. So I'm going to be using Pout and Baby Blues and Gray Matter. I'll mix it here. So I worked out earlier, late in the video, when I was doing my review, that these can be used as a palette. So what I'm going to try and do, like I did here, this was a blue that I diluted on the plastic because these are supposed to, you know, you're supposed to be able to use these on any surfaces or multi-surfaces. So I figured you could draw on the plastic, which you can. And it's actually quite vibrant, but it depends. These colors, you know, the pink is quite light. But I worked out that you can mix them together on the palette and then dilute them with water. And that way you can use the plastic. You can use it as a palette is what I mean. So, okay, let me just add some water to that and see what happens. Oh, that's very bluish. I think it's because out of the 4 colors, the blue was the stronger one. Let me just add more gray and more pink because the sky is definitely pink. Of course, it's turned purple. That makes sense. Maybe I'll put this one down and then I'll put the pink on top. So let me just put these here without the lids for now, just in case I need them again. And I'll just put the color charts here for now. So I'm just gonna I can go over the trees and the leaves for now or the flowers, because this is the background color. And so when I paint the leaves, it will go on top of the background color. So that's okay. Of course, with watercolor, you know, layering is not going to be as easy as with acrylic. But if they're good enough, you'll be able to do it. Okay, so that's the bridge. So that's the mountain. So I'll go over here. They only produce, when you mix them on the plastic, they don't you won't get a lot to work with. They're not terribly pigmented. So you have to mix a lot if you want a lot of color. Okay, now I'm gonna add the pink. Because the sky is actually a little bit pinker than this. So this is just my, I forget what the actual term is for it, but it's actually my undercolor. Now I'm gonna go over it with some pink. May have made it too dark actually. Or maybe I can lift it with the paper in order to make it a little bit lighter. Let me try lifting it. I'm also going to add a little bit of yellow to the pink just to lighten the color because I don't have white. Hopefully it won't create an orange. We'll see what happens. Oh, that is not good. It's not a good color. It's not the color I wanted. I added too much yellow. But what I'll do is I'll just put it down just to lighten it. Oh, paper stuck. Tissue paper. Maybe I'll add some pink directly to the page. We'll see what happens. problem with these is as you can see, the pigment stays. It doesn't dilute properly, and so you can still see there's some. When I applied it directly to the page, you can see there's pigment that has not been diluted, which creates an interesting effect, but not necessarily a desired effect. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna leave that to dry, and I'm gonna carry on with something else. So I'll do the green on the riverbank. And obviously there's different shades of green on the picture, but on my set, I only have that green. That's the only true green that I have. So I might have to mix it with maybe this blue to get a darker green. So we'll start by applying, there's some yellow bits as well. So, okay. Okay, put some green there. And here. And then there's bits which are yellow green. So I'm just going to mix a yellow green. Let me just put away these ones because I'm not going to be using them, at least for now. Okay, so the ones that I'm using, the yellow is called Bright Future, which I've used in my previous video. And the green is called Flourish. Okay, so this is kind of green here. There's some yellow here. Some green here. Brown. And I'm going to mix that green and yellow together and see what happens. See if I get a nice yellow green. Okay. There's some yellow green there. Okay. So let me just put these over here. Yes, I think I made a mistake there because it's best not to put these crayons directly on the page because of the crayon marks that you get. If you're going to use them dry, I think it's okay. In comparison, the Caran d'Ache crayons, the water-soluble crayons, I forget what they're called now. They dissolve very well in the water. They dissolve so beautifully. But these, they take a while to dissolve, and the pigment doesn't dissolve completely, as you can see. There's some crayon marks there. I could try using the brush to take it from the tip and see what happens. This is not always advisable because it melts the crayon faster. But if you want an extra burst of color, this is something you can do. Also, this is good that you can go over it like that. While it's still wet, you get some interesting effects. Also, it helps to give it texture. That's good. Just giving it more of a texture to it. So that makes it more visually interesting. That extra texture instead of just a flat, burst of color. Okay. So I'm going to let that one dry. And now I'm just going to dilute this brown. And yeah, I mean, that's one good thing about these crayons because they're so textured. You can actually use the fact that there are remains of crayon under, the diluted color to give it a burst of texture. So you can actually make that work to your advantage. That's a really cool thing. Instead of diluting it completely. It again, as I said, it makes it more visually interesting. So David from David's Art Channel asks, how do they compare to Caran d'Ache wax crayons? Well, Caran d'Ache wax crayons are superior, which makes sense because they're more expensive. In my last dealings with Caran d'Ache wax crayons, the water-soluble ones, I was actually surprised to find that they are a little bit chalky because they're so expensive, but they dissolve so well with water. They are just so amazing. And they're so creamy and buttery, much more creamy and buttery than these guys. But again, they are more expensive. So, it may not be a fair comparison. Also, Caran d'Ache wax crayons are light fast, which are ideal for professional artists. Whereas these ones, I mean, they might be light fast, but there's no indication that they are. There's nothing written to say that they are light fast. So, I mean, I could make a comparison one day if you guys wanted. and just do a video where I compare these two. If you want that, please leave a comment to let me know that is something that you would wish to see, and I'll definitely do that for you guys. But yeah, these are cheaper, so it's not a fair comparison. Caran d'Ache wax crayons are more for professional artists, whereas these ones I'll say are more for arts and crafts or for hobbyists or sketching purposes. But they are very satisfying to use. I will say that because it's true. I'm actually enjoying using them. So far, they're a lot of fun. And even though at first I did have a problem with the fact that you do get a residue of wax underneath because they don't dilute properly, once I was painting the grass on the riverbank, I realized that actually you can use that to your advantage because you get these textured effects, which is really interesting. So it's about, of course, using the artistic medium and learning how to use it so you can use it to your advantage, you know. And of course, a professional artist could literally use anything because if they're professional, you know, they'll have the skill to be able to use any medium to their advantage. So, okay, I think I'll do the other grass bank actually, um, which also there's some. Yeah, okay. Let me just do the other grass bank. There's some more brown along this one, so there's a little bit of brown. Oop, here. My bird is talking to me. He's going, why aren't you paying attention to me? Why aren't you paying attention? I'm busy, I'm sorry. So David has left another comment and he said he'd like to see the comparison between the brands. And okay, David, I will do it. Okay, I will compare the two brands for you on another video. Okay. Okay, let me do the other riverbank. Yes, hello, bird. I don't know what this is. This was from a previous project, but I think I'm picking it up. It's definitely water soluble and it's picking up, my brush is picking it up and is mixing with my green. That's okay because there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. And very soon I'll be painting my happy trees. So that's okay. There's some brown alongside here. What's also good about these crayons is you can go over it while it's still wet and it gives you interesting effects, I think. a lot of fun to play around with these. They're just they're very very versatile, I think. They're definitely easy to use. And it's good to know that you can use them directly on the paper or you can mix them on a palette. They blend well also, which is a good thing. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to paint the water now, which should be quite difficult for me. Not terribly great with water. Actually, it's this dry. I might do the trees first. So these rocks down here, they have some grass on them. Okay. So the tree trunks, I would say, is a mixture of this one, the magnetic field, and maybe highbrow or moonkiss. Moonkiss, definitely. I might mix this one with another color, so I'm just gonna go here. This is quite a saturated one, as we saw earlier in the video. So it's a very powerful brown. Just gonna drink some water. And I'm gonna use the highbrow, this one. Okay. I'm gonna use a thinner brush for this one. Okay. okay to use them wet and dry. Just combine the two, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna finish the rest of the treats. Okay. So now I'm gonna add some moon kiss. So I don't even have to wet the moon kiss. I can let it dry, and because some of it is still wet anyway, but dry works fine. Okay, I will add the leaves later when that is a little bit drier, or the flowers rather. Okay, so should I do the water? I think I'm going to paint the rocks first, and then I'll do the water. That is a little bit more yellow, but I'll go over it later. This is definitely more. There's some blue on this yellow, so it's best if I wipe it. Okay. These are yellow green. Definitely more of a they're definitely more yellow. Oh, okay. Let me know what do you think so far, guys. If it's coming along okay, if you like it, it'd be really great to know your opinion. This is great for giving it texture, as I said. You can go over it with the dried. Thank you, David, for letting me know. That's good to know that it's looking great so far. I'm gonna bring it out a little bit more. So far, they haven't broken on me, which is good to know. Even though they are soft, they also have a sharp edge to them, so they're okay for details. Maybe not fine details, but like I'm doing this bit of the tree, and they're working okay. Okay. I think I'm going to draw the bridge. The bridge is this kind of brownish, pinkish color. Um, it's kind of the same color as the rocks in the river. So let's see. Maybe I'll use Wink this time around. I'll mix it with some of the pink. Maybe I'm mixing too much color, I don't know. But then I did say earlier that it's better to mix more because it might not be as pigmented as you're hoping. Drinking water. I'm keeping the green and the yellow out because I'm going to need them. Okay, so yeah, okay, so pink. I'm going to use pout. Yeah. The brown is more powerful than the pink, so it overpowers the pink. So I have to try and add more pink than brown in order to get that hint of pink. Okay, that would have worked. Just going to take the brush out of the cup because it's not good to leave brushes inside cups full of water. It damages the bristles. So okay, you might have added too much pink. Let's see. Oh yeah, definitely. That's okay. So, okay. Gonna add a little bit of brown. Um, Maybe I'll put it directly on the page. We'll see if that worked. Yeah, and I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'll go over it and add the texture to it. Okay. All right, I'll do the rocks, but I think I need a darker brown, so I'm gonna add some of this to it. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of black to it. Just to make it a little bit darker. But you don't want to add too much black when you use black, because black is very powerful and it will take away from other colors. So a little bit should be enough. Gonna add some more color to this. Actually, I'm just Okay. I think I'm going to go over it a little bit with the black. Oh. And then I'm going to use purple on the other side. Couldn't get it to look like a bridge because these are too soft. I couldn't get the details in. But yeah. Maybe I'll go over it with pencil when it's dried. Okay, so the water is like a mixture, it's like a bluish purple. And then occasionally there's some pinks here and there because reflecting off of the flowers on the trees. I think I'm going to make the mountains in the distance, and then I'm going to paint in the flowers on the trees. Okay. Trying to make it more centered for you guys. Okay. Just going to tidy this up a little bit because these crayons are all over the place. Try going with black again just for the detail. I think they're too soft for details. Okay, so I'm going to use this green. I'm going to do it here actually. I'll just put some of these browns away. So the magnetic field goes here, and then the eyebrow goes here, and then the wing goes here. Okay. Pout goes here, and this one goes here, moon kiss. Okay, so I'm gonna add some green here. And I'm going to use this one, Deep Truth, to get a darker green for the mountains. My bird is talking to me. He went inside his chest with my girl bird. So I have two birds, a girl and a boy, and they were both inside the chest. But he decided that he wanted to come out, and now he's talking to me. And he's like going, "Why are you ignoring me? I'm talking to you here. What's wrong with you?" They're so funny. Right, so up there. These are trees in the distance. So he wants my attention. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm doing this right now. Like this because there are trees. So it's a bit jagged like that. Actually, I'm going to make that a little bit lighter because that's actually darker than that one. So yes, I hear you. That's right, bird. Not ignoring you. That's another thing. When you lift color, you can also create effects if you're working with watercolor or water-soluble paint like gouache. Acrylic too, I suppose, but with acrylic, it dries really quickly. So if you're going to do it, you have to do it quickly. Whereas with gouache and watercolor, it doesn't matter when you lift it because it's not permanent. It doesn't get stuck on the paper. Okay. So let me just add a little bit. Let me just make a little bit more green yellow. Maybe a little bit more yellow. Yes, I can hear you. I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to just lift the color a little bit. Just to make it lighter. Okay. Okay. We'll try and do the flowers now. Oh, I forgot about those branches there. Let me get this one, magnetic field. Okay. Okay, now I'm gonna do the flowers. So I need to mix two pinks. I need to mix the Make a Move, which I believe is meant to be Make a Move. I think they made a mistake when they labeled these. Well, I'm gonna have to get some more water in a second. And I'm gonna mix this with Baccarat. See if I can get the right pink. Oh, that was a lot of pink I used. Actually, I'll use the French Kiss. May use this brush now, actually. Those of you who are interested in my content, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day ahead of time to all those of you out there who love Valentine's Day and who are in a couple and who are going to celebrate. I'm single, but I will be celebrating my own way because I love Valentine's Day. But for those of you who are interested, I will be putting out a video tomorrow related to Valentine's Day. So if you're interested, if you like my content and you like Valentine's Day and you have nothing better to do, just come along to my channel and watch what I've got planned for tomorrow. actually did that wrong. They're supposed to minimize as they go. You know, it's to do with perspective, but I wasn't thinking. I got too excited there, so never mind. Because that's the vanishing point. It's actually supposed to go down like this towards the vanishing point, but I wasn't thinking. I got so excited about doing the flowers. I think it's sakura, which means cherry blossoms. It's sakura is Japanese for cherry blossoms. I love that word sakura. I think it's so pretty. Yep, they certainly look like cherry blossoms to me, but I could be wrong. So it layers quite well, which is good to know. It's good to know they layer well. That's good. So I'm going to try and make it go down this way on this side because that's what it's supposed to do, really. Because it's to do with perspective. So let's see if I'm successful on this side. Okay, I think I did better. This one's a little bit high up because on the picture, this one actually falls into the bridge. But I think I did better on this side than I did on that side. I could lift the color. I think I'm going to do that actually. Yep, just dropping my paintbrush, nothing major. Let me know how it's coming along so far, if you guys like it. This side of the bridge is a little bit pink, that's why I'm adding pink to it. And there's some petals here, or flowers. I'll add some pink to the water actually because there is pink in the water because it's the trees reflecting off of the water. The color of the trees reflecting off of the water. And also the picture's probably been photoshopped. This is why it's better to draw from real life. you never want to work in, flat colors, just one color, because then the picture looks flat. I mean, this is a simplistic landscape, but it kind of looks like a children's drawing at the moment. Okay. Okay, let me try and lift some of that pink. I'm going to try and lift some of that pink, see if it works. It's okay. Okay, so there's a kind of like, there's also orange on the flower, so I'm going to add some orange to it. Maybe, let's see if it works dry. If I just add, I'll try on this side first because it's dry. And I'll let that one dry, and then I'll add some orange to that. These do feel like oil pastels when you use them dry, but they are water soluble. Now there are a lot of water, oil pastels which are water soluble. Water pastels are not great for details. That's why I say these are great for sketching. I think it's more of a sketch really than a finished piece. That's okay. They are very they are very satisfying to use though. It's true. And I've enjoyed drawing this so far, or painting this. Oh. Trying to give it some texture. Oh, I just put that there. Okay. Let me try and add the orange to the trees now. This one is definitely lighter on the pink than this one. Oh, I'm gonna try and... Ooh, that may have been overkill. I'm gonna have to dilute that. Mm. There is some orange in the distance here as well. Yes, my bird wants attention. Okay. So it's not long now until I finish. Um, going to Tell me, how's it looking so far? I actually quite like it, even though it's not precise, it's not detailed, because it's hard to get details with these ones. But I was trying to keep this loose anyway, just a loose drawing, just something fun. I especially like the trees. But I think it's quite colorful, quite interesting, quite pretty. Gonna try and make some more pink for the flowers. They do layer really well. Uh, at least on this paper, I suppose if I did this on the glossy paper, I probably wouldn't get the same reaction. But on this paper, once it's dry, you can lift it because I have done it, but it absorbs the color really well. So when it comes to layering, it layers really well, which is good. It's good to know that it blends and layers well. So yeah, when you're doing things are supposed to go like this, as if they're going downwards, and I didn't do that enough. So my perspective is not completely correct, but just so you guys know for when you attempt to draw, if you're interested, once you choose your vanishing point, it's supposed to go inwards like this towards your vanishing point, which I haven't done very well. Okay. The colors are very saturated. In nature, colors don't tend to be this saturated. However, the picture that I'm following as a reference, the colors really are this saturated. Maybe not as saturated as my picture, but they are quite saturated, which means that the photo has obviously been manipulated again in Photoshop or something. But you know, it's nice to be able, if this was a realistic picture, the colors would never be this saturated, because in nature colors are much more vibrant but much more natural looking, obviously, if that makes sense. um so David from David's art channel says, when are you planning to do the river? So I'm doing the river last. I've got two bits to do. First, this part of the mountain, because there's a mountain here, and the car over here. I think cars are the things that I'm the least good at drawing or painting. So yeah, thank you for asking, David. Okay, let me just do that mountain there first. So I'm gonna mix some of this brown with some of this green. Okay. Okay, let me paint the car now. Just like this blood red. So the make a moo, which I think they mean make a move, goes there. And the French kiss. Oh, I put pelt there by accident. And the orange one. Hold on. Nope. Pout actually goes there. So French kiss goes there. And yeah, brassy locks goes here. And then it's yellow and the green. Okay, so let me just put this away for a while, for a little bit, while I'm doing the car. So the car is kind of a, yeah, kind of like a wine red, blood red. So I'm going to try and mix the hard eyes with make a move. Oh, I used too much. I'm not thinking. I wore down that crayon so much. That's my bird going, what are you doing? Why are you taking so long? Why haven't you turned off the light yet? Because you see the zebra finches, they need at least, I think, 12 hours of sleep, and I'm actually cutting into their time. They can't sleep while the light is on. Ay, ay, ay. I know, birdie. Okay, so see if I can. So I effectively have gotten rid of the outline of the car. So it's like this. So now I kind of have to paint it like this. I am not good at drawing cars. Hmm. I don't draw cars that much, to be honest. I need to start practicing. Um, okay, that's actually not wine red. Maybe if I add a little bit of black to it. I should start practicing drawing cars actually, because I don't think I ever draw cars, or if I've ever done, I can't remember now. Sorry, that's making noise because it's leaning against something. Oof. Okay. That card doesn't look good. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it. Maybe lift some of the color there. Ay. That's a very pretty color, though. I really want to use that color again, but there's nothing to use it in. Maybe I'll just put it on the reverse part of the pink reflection. just didn't have the heart to wash that color away because it was so pretty. I think I'll just, there we go. I'm just gonna kind of do the wheels there. That car definitely looks like it's been drawn by a kid. This actually goes like, it's a funny car. I'll let it dry and then she says that she applies more color. Oh. It needs some highlights, and I okay. I might have to lift color for the highlights. There's a mirror here. I think they should, they should definitely come with a white because these are not just watercolors, they are oil pastels. And in oil pastel, you do require a white. So it's a bit of an oversight on their part. If you want to use these as oil pastels, not to have a white. So that's something I'm definitely complaining about. Yeah. Could use a white from another set, but because this car has lots of highlights, white highlights, and I don't have a white, so I can't do the highlights, which is quite frustrating, actually. There's a highlight here. I'll use the yellow, and there's a highlight here. And there's one here and one on the top. Yeah, and alongside here. And then there's the handles, which show up as white in the picture, but I can't do them. I suppose I could scratch it. I could use this to scratch into it, which you would do with oil pastels. I could scratch and create the handles. So there you go. And I could scratch the mirror and scratch there to create more of a highlight. Okay. Okay. Well, it could be worse. At least it's cute, I think. Gonna use the yellow again for highlights because the scratching thing didn't quite work. We add the yellow again. Do that tail light. Okay. At least none of them have broken, which is really good to know because oil pastels tend to break quite easily, but none of these are broken so far, probably because they're protected by this plastic lipstick-like container. So that's good. I'll draw the handles with black. Yeah, I wish there was more greens in the set. There's only one green. I'm sure there's different sets that Jane Davenport has released. But these are the only two that I have. I think there's too many blues in this set. I could have done with another green at least. Okay. I'm gonna just, it's a bit wet. Okay, so the next thing I'll be doing will be the river. Okay. Right. So I think I'll do the river next. Just going to delineate these rocks just so I know that they're there. Yeah, might actually add a bit more pink to the sky because I think it's still too dark. Going to add some reflections to this. Well, that didn't exactly go as planned. Because these are quite thick, and especially once you wear them down like I did, they start losing their sharp edge. It's harder to draw detail. I think one good thing about this picture is that it has allowed me to play with lots of different colors and see what kind of effect I can get with these, so that's good. They are harder to blend when they're dry. I wish I had a white. I really do. Because what's cool about these is that you can use them wet and dry at the same time. They're mixed media, and it's a shame that you can't fully use them as they're intended, because I understand that for watercolor you wouldn't need a white, true. But for oil pastels you definitely need whites. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit frustrating. Hmm. I'm just destroying the car as I go along. The more I color it with the worse it looks. It was looking okay. Now it's just looking silly. Okay. I think I'm just gonna give up on the car. I'm just going to delineate this mountain here, and then I'll add some pink to the sky, and then I'll do the river, and we'll be done. So, yeah, I think I just... Wait, still wet down there. Okay. Oh, that was not my intention. There was some brown on that pink, so eesh. Okay. Right, I'll do the river now, but I'm gonna let it dry a little bit. I'm just gonna get some water. It shouldn't take me more than a minute, probably less than that. Just bear with me, guys, and then I'm gonna try and do the river. This one is actually a little bit too saturated, so let me just pick up some color from this one. Okay, I'm gonna try and mix the color of the water now. Right, so I'll use this blue, which is the best blue I have. Really, I have two true blues, which is this one, Lapis Lazuli, and Baby Blues. These ones, or rather these ones, are very greenish blue. Are greenish blues, anyway. So I'm going to add a little bit of purple because it's kind of bluish purple, purplish blue rather, with tinges of red, and of course there's whites for the waves. I think that's too blue. Let me just check over here. Definitely. Let me add a bit more purple. Maybe this purple is too light. Let me try the other purple. So this is the deep vein, which is this one. So I'm going to try adding this one, which is eccentric. Oh, I'm damaging my crayons. There's these grooves, I guess. No, these plastic bits that come out here in the middle that divides the palette. And when I go like this, sometimes those bits go through the crayon and yeah, I lose pigment, lose color. Here it is on my finger. Definitely more of a purplish blue, but it still looks blue. Oh, I know. I'm just gonna do it in the corner here. Mm. Okay. Gonna lift some color now just to give it more highlights. It's hard to lift from this paper because the paper absorbs the color so well. So I should have planned the highlights ahead of time, I guess. Mm, that's a bit frustrating. I have to do, I guess I'll just do some of the highlights in yellow. Let me see if that works. Say what highlights because it's really the waves, but it's not the same. If I had white, it would be better, but it will have to be yellow. Though I did leave some white bits. Ay, okay. As long as it looks like a river, I'm happy. Just getting used to watercolor, I always forget that without watercolor, you're supposed to blend where your highlights are going to be. So, you can leave those spaces white, but I always forget to do that because it's just, I'm not, even though I have been painting with watercolor for a while, I'm still not used to that aspect of watercolor because, as I said before, watercolor doesn't come with white. You're supposed to blend where your whites are going to be if you're using white paper. Um, I thought I was going to do it like pointillism, like that's what I tried to do, but it didn't quite work out because there was more highlights than I thought, and I didn't really plan it very well, but it's okay. Slightly abstract. I'm going to let those rocks dry because I'm going to add some yellow to it. I'll try lifting again, but don't think I'm going to be successful at this. Still, I like it. It's never meant to be realistic anyway. The paper is coming off. Okay, I'll do one thing. These don't lift very well. That's the only thing I would say, which I think is problematic. It doesn't help if you make a mistake. You can't lift them. So, and there's no white. So I think it's problematic when you have a water soluble product that cannot, that doesn't lift very well. I think that's not good. This is, oh, this is an orange. This is an actual proper orange. All this time I've been saying this is a vermilion and not an orange, but it's actually an orange. So I was wrong. There is an orange in this set, which is good. Hello, bird. Hello. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there because I don't think I can rescue this. Really. I could try adding. Think, okay, so yeah, so I don't think the river was entirely successful. I could have done with more highlights. I wish I had a white. Could try a pencil. See if I can draw. Maybe once I let it dry. Try now. It's possible that once I let it dry, the white will, I'll be able to add the white to it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed with the way I did the river, but I don't know. I think you can tell that it's a river. So that's good, even if it's not entirely, the execution of it was not entirely successful. So yeah, the rocks also, I don't think they look like rocks completely. It is hard to do with the oil pastels, but I'm not going to excuse it. I wasn't very good at creating these rocks. I could have used the watercolor part of the art supply, but I might not have been successful at making them look like rocks that way either. I mean, I could try the gray for the splashes, I suppose. If I had a white, these would look better. There we go. I've used gray, which is not as good. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, I couldn't really make the rocks look like rocks. but it is what it is. I'm still trying. I mean, the Prismacolor white feels very oil like an oil pastel, so maybe I'll try that one instead and see if I can get the effect that I want. With oil pastels, when you're using oil pastels, you tend to use something to scratch details into them if you want details. So I'm gonna try. I'll just take a sip of my tea, guys. First of all, I'm just gonna. Okay, just to give it some texture. I hope you guys like it anyway, even though it's not perfect. I'm going to try and scratch this out. Because some of it is watercolor, not all of it is oil pastel. I'm not sure if it's going to be entirely successful. This is not the best one either because this is made of plastic. Let me see if I have my metal one around. There we go. Much, much better. So when you work with oil pastels and you want to add detail, you use something to scratch into them. Thank you, David. So David from David's Arts channel is saying it's really good. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So yeah, when you're working with oil pastels, one way to add detail to them is to scratch into them with something to add that detail that you can't get with the oil pastels because they're so soft. Like here, I tried to add detail, but I just couldn't. And the more oil pastel you add, you're not going to get like with the car. I nearly ruined the car because I kept adding layers and layers and layers of paint. But with oil pastels, it doesn't work like that. You really, if you want detail, you're going to have to scratch into it, which is what I'm trying to do now. Unfortunately, because I used them as watercolors before, some of the paper is just like coming off because it was wet from using them as watercolors. But I'm hoping to get some effect anyway. Oil pastels are tricky because they don't lend themselves very well to mixed media, because you can't really go over them with anything, not even pencil really. And I tried using Prismacolors once with a set of oil pastels, which wasn't this one, and it was fine actually because Prismacolors tend to feel very similar to oil pastels. They're not as soft or as buttery, but they're the closest to oil pastels that a pencil can come, or brand of pencils can come. So yeah, gonna scratch down here now as well. Oh. Okay, guys, so I'm going to leave it there. I think the river has been a bit of a failure because I didn't plan for the highlights. However, I think it looks a little bit better than it did before, from my point of view anyway. um, I still like the picture. It was a bit of an experiment. I like that it's a bit abstract and it's not realistic, but I think it's quite cute. There's a really visually interesting aesthetic to it. I hope you guys liked it. I really enjoyed painting it, especially like the trees. That was a lot of fun. Um, and the car, actually, I do like the car. It turned out better than I was expecting. I just really wish I had a white. So yeah, I tried to create the not the waves, but that foam that takes place, that that happens in water when there's water falling down or crashing or waving, and you get that foam. That's what I'm trying to recreate here by scratching it out. I should have planned the highlights better. The rocks look a bit more like rocks now. That kind of scratched into it and given it some texture, but it's still not completely as successful as I wish. I'm going to add some yellow highlights to it, actually. Okay, so yeah, right. So this is my final painting, I guess, using the Jane Davenport Colorstick water-soluble crayons. Um, I really like it. I'm a little bit annoyed with myself that I damaged the paper there and I didn't plan for the highlights, but I think ultimately it does still look like a river, and these do kind of look like rocks. I like the way it looks. I think it's cute. I like the trees. I like the car. I like the bridge. I had a lot of fun painting it. How would I rate these crayons? What are my thoughts on them? So I think my bird thinks I'm talking to him because I was silent for ages and he didn't chirp at all, and now he's just like singing. Right. So I would say that because they're mixed media, as watercolors, they are quite good. They weren't as chalky as they could have been. Usually cheap art supplies tend to be chalky, but these weren't really. Um, you don't need a white if you're using them as watercolors, so that's fine that there's no white. But if you're going to use them as oil pastels, I think you're really, really going to miss the white, because I certainly did. Which is a shame. Of course, there are different sets. As I said, I've only got these two. I'm not sure how many of them there are. I suppose I should have looked this up beforehand, but I will try and include links to whatever sets there are in the description. But I think ultimately all sets really should come with a white if you're going to use them as oil pastels, because oil pastel requires white, definitely. So just be warned that you'll have to work without a white. Some people might say you don't need a white. I don't work with a white. But, I did use yellow for the highlights there. I tried to use the yellow on the water, but it kind of worked on the car, but not so much on the river. I really miss the white when using these as oil pastels. So for me, that's a massive negative. I think every set should come with an extra white, in the same way that a lot of times, like with gouache is opaque watercolor, and unlike watercolor, you do need white in gouache, absolutely. And so a lot of gouaches you'll find, for example, I have a set around here somewhere, which I'm sure I'll review in the future, which is all pans of color, but then the white comes in a tube because white is so essential to gouache. And so all gouache paints will come with a white, always. Watercolors will rarely come with a white because you don't need it in watercolors, but wash paint will always absolutely come with a white. Oil pastels should always come with a white. So again, because these are mixed media and people might want to use them as both, which I did in this picture. I use these as both watercolor and oil pastel. Yeah. Okay, it was my mistake with the river. I should have left the highlights. I should have planned the highlights, or rather the whites in the river. Fair enough, because I did use it as watercolor to begin with. But then I could have fixed that because they are oil pastels as well. I could have fixed that with the whites. So I still stand by this, that that it's a massive negative that none of these sets come with a white, in my opinion, because if you use them as oil pastels, you're going to need a white. But if you only plan on using them as watercolors, then that's fine. You don't need the white. So that's one negative for me. Because yeah, I think these are actually quite versatile. I think the beauty of these crayons is that you can use them as both watercolor and oil pastel, and I really like the effect that you get from using them as both, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautiful. So yeah, it's a real shame that it doesn't come with a white. What else is there to say? I thought they blended well. I thought they layered really well. Lifting was difficult. Perhaps not on the glossy paper, but then on the glossy paper, you don't get very nice effects. The colors are quite streaky and they come across as much more chalky on the glossy paper than they do on the Fabriano paper. They actually look quite good on the Fabriano paper, but the Fabriano paper absorbs color really fast. So you're not going to be able to lift the color that easily, which for me was a shame because one of the abilities of watercolors that you're able to lift the color. That's one of the best things about watercolor. So I was able to lift it a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked. So yeah, that was also a negative for me. And again, I wouldn't use them on the glossy paper because I really don't like, I mean, look how blotchy that looks here. It looks really streaky, and here the color seems to settle more in some spots than in others. It just looks messy. It doesn't look professional. I wouldn't use them on the glossy paper. They look great on the Fabriano paper, but be aware that they don't lift as well as I would have liked. Because I'm new to watercolor. I tend to make mistakes, and I do rely on being able to lift color when using watercolor if I make a mistake. And if I can't do that, then what's the point of using watercolor if you can't lift the color when it's necessary? So yeah, that's the second negative for me. But other than that, I can't really think of anything bad to say. To reiterate once again, as these are my final thoughts. I mean, okay, the particles did, they do. Once you add water to the colors, as I mentioned before, in both the glossy paper and the Fabriano paper, the particles do separate both from the water and from each other, which is not a good thing. But then, if you add a substantial amount of color, you won't see that happen so much. So yeah, I mean, it is a cheaper art supply. When I say cheap, I don't mean that it was cheap to buy, because I think it was okay. It was like medium expensive. I don't remember now how much I paid for them, but they weren't cheap. But you can tell that the quality of the paints are not amazing. They're not Caran d'Ache quality, level of quality. But they're good enough. I mentioned earlier that the colors may be made with dyes rather than pigments, and it kind of looks like that because of the way they kind of split from each other and from the water. But I can't be certain. I think that I think they work better as oil pastels than they do watercolor, but it's almost on the same level. But yeah, I think they're more problematic as watercolors, in my opinion. But you can use them as both, and I did, and it works fine. The colors are beautiful. They are saturated. They really do pop off the page. They were really enjoyable to use. And I think one of the things about art supplies is that they have to be enjoyable to use. You have to have fun while you're using them, because if you're using an art supply and it's like a chore to use it, then you don't want to waste your time, because you want to have fun. Painting should be fun. It's a bit stressful because you're trying to make it look good as well, and making it look good and right and precise, that's painful. But art should always be fun to a certain extent, and you want an art supply that is fun to use, and this was definitely it. Definitely fun to use, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. um, as I said, it's just a shame it doesn't come with a white, really. So yeah, those are all, they look great. They you can Yeah, I think if you're a professional artist and you're better than me, you'll have no problem using these. As oil pastels, you're not going to get detailed, but that's not unique to these. Or all oil pastels are like this. It's really difficult to get detailed with oil pastels because they are incredibly soft, and even if they have edges to begin with, the edges get worn down really quickly. So you're not going to get a high level of detail with oil pastels unless you scratch into it like I did. That's like the only way. Um, it's not the only way, but it's yeah. Oil pastels are not about detail. They're best suited um, for maybe larger surfaces or sketches. Though it really depends how you use them. If you use them like oil, you might be able to make really good paintings with them. But yeah, just be aware that they don't lend themselves to detailed uh, pictures because of the softness, of their nature. Um, all in all, I would say these are great for sketching. If they had a white, I don't know, I might recommend them to professional artists, but then again, the quality of the colors don't seem that great. As I said, they might be dyes, not pigments. And yeah, I think they're great for sketching. I think they're great for little studies like this one. They're great for having fun. If you're a professional artist and you want to use them, you want to try and use them, by all means, go ahead. I'm sure you'll do great because it's your level of talent that counts. But yeah, I personally think these crayons lend themselves more to sketching and studies and just having fun with them rather than professional pieces. So, because of all the reasons I mentioned, also arts and crafts, I also didn't try them on different surfaces. So if you're looking to try on ceramics or wood or whatever, try these, see how they work for you. But yeah, I had fun with them. I think they're great for sketching, as already stated, um, studies, and yeah, I don't know where else to go with this. Um, that those are my final thoughts. I'm just going to keep repeating myself now, so I think I'm going to end it there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Ooh, just dropped my paintbrush. I hope you enjoyed my final picture, even though it's kind of a failure for me because I think I really messed up the river, but even so, I still like it. I did enjoy myself. I hope you guys liked it as much as I did. If you like my content, please do subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Please support my channel. It's a small channel. I'm growing and I need all the support that I can get. I also spend a lot of hours doing these drawings. You see my technique as I go along. I do have time-lapse videos on my channel, and I will probably be doing more of those in the future. But when I do live videos, you get to see my technique, how I do things, and it's actually quite intimidating doing things live, because if you make a mistake, everyone is watching. It's not like when you're editing the video and you can remove mistakes, or you can remove when you repeat yourself like I do so often, or you can remove the ums or whatever. uh again, see, did the thing again. uh, I am being judged. So this is actually much harder than it looks. So if you like my content, please do support, subscribe, like, share with your friends. And if you do subscribe, just press the bell. I think it's a bell. It's a bell, a button with a bell. Press it so that you'll get an alert every time I release a video. So yeah, those are my final thoughts, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, repeating myself, but I really do hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really did enjoy making this picture. I like the final result. And yeah, keep watching, keep coming back. And tomorrow I'll be doing a video for Valentine's Day. So come back tomorrow. If you're single, come back, join me, because, you know, it's not like we have anything better to do in lockdown. If you're in a couple, go off, do your thing, have your romantic meals and exchange presents, and then come back and watch my video, you know, because that's like the cherry on top of the cake, right? So thank you very much. Hopefully, see you tomorrow and have a lovely, lovely night. Bye bye.